Shout out to Blue Blood Sports TV.
Watching Blue Blood Sports TV.
Shout out to Blue Blood Sports TV.
Hi, you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Hola, está viendo Blue Blood Deporte TV.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at you with another one. So yeah, I want to talk about this Billy Joe Saunders versus Danny Jacobs situation going on. Not liking the situation, man. It seems like Billy Joe Saunders is ducking Danny Jacobs. Now Billy Joe Saunders is talking about he needs $5 million to fight Danny Jacobs in the States, and then he would need more than $5 million if he fight him in the UK and drag them in the UK. He's saying that Danny Jacobs can't sell tickets, that Danny Jacobs only sold 2,000 tickets in his hometown because Danny Jacobs just fought in the city of New York. Danny Jacobs, if you don't know, Danny Jacobs is from Brooklyn. So he just fought, his last fight was in New York versus Luis Arias. Danny Jacobs won a unanimous decision. Arias wasn't in there trying to fight. You know, as you know or may not know, it's hard to get a knockout or get a good victory, or should I say a clean victory, or make yourself look good. It's hard to look good against a fighter who's just in there to survive. Luis Arias he talked a good game. He talked up the fight. You know, he was saying how Danny Jacobs was dropped before and how he's a hard puncher and how he's gonna knock him out and all these things. You know, and when you talk up a fight, you know, he talked up a good fight, but when he got in the ring, he was only in there to survive. He wasn't in there to fight. He wasn't taking any chances. He wasn't letting his hands go. He was just grappling. He was grabbing, holding. You know, he tasted Danny Jacobs' power early on in the fight, and he wasn't trying to make the fight happen. He wasn't trying to allow Danny Jacobs to do much. You know, so Danny Jacobs did what he could in the fight because, you know, it's really hard to look good against a fighter and or to get a knockout against a fighter who's just in there to survive from the beginning of the rounds, from the opening bell. So that's what Luis Arias was in there to do. On another note, Billy Joe Saunders looked really good in his last fight versus David LEMIEUX, which is not too hard to do and I'm not saying this as if David LEMIEUX is not a world-class fighter, because David LEMIEUX definitely is a world-class fighter, but his style of fighting makes it easy for a fighter as such as Billy Joe Saunders to look really good against, because Billy Joe Saunders is a boxer. You know, actually Billy Joe Saunders made David LEMIEUX look worse than what Triple G did, in my opinion. But when you are the type of boxer and type of slick boxer that Billy Joe Saunders is, it's really not that hard to make David LEMIEUX a flat-footed, come forward, one-trick pony type of fighter look bad. You know, so that's what he did. Not taking anything away from Billy Joe Saunders, because Billy Joe Saunders is really good. You know, I got him at, if not the best middleweight, he's definitely top 3, top 4. In my opinion, I still got Triple G as number 1 until proven otherwise. I got Danny Jacobs number 2 because of the fight that he had with Triple G, and I thought that he actually won in that fight against Triple G, but he didn't. He didn't get the W on paper, so you know, it is what it is. And then at number 3, I would have either it's hard for me to say Jamal Charlo, because Jamal Charlo hasn't fought a real name. You know, he's just new to the division at 160 pounds. So it's hard to say Jamal Charlo, but I don't remember if it's Jamel or Jamal, but the Charlo brother. So it's hard for me to say if it's him. And then on the other note, you know, you got Canelo Alvarez, who had really one fight at middleweight, and that was against Triple G, which I thought he won that fight. You know, it could have went either way. You know, so both of Triple G's fights against the top opposition at middleweight, they both could have went either way. So you know, he got the victory in one, and then he got a draw in the other. So I can't take Triple G off the number 1 spot at middleweight due to the fact that he hasn't lost at middleweight. You know, so I personally thought Danny Jacobs won the fight against Triple G, but he didn't get the W, so you can't remove Triple G from the number 1 spot. Then you could go Canelo, Billy Joe Saunders, however you want, you know. So I personally would have Billy Joe Saunders at that number 4 spot or number 3 spot, you know. So I would go Triple G, then I would go Danny Jacobs, then I would go Billy Joe Saunders, then Canelo Alvarez, Charlo, you know, however you see it fit. But now let's get back to this Billy Joe Saunders Danny Jacobs situation. So Danny Jacobs, if you don't know, he's been calling Billy Joe Saunders out. Actually, he's been calling Billy Joe Saunders out prior to this David LEMIEUX fight. Billy Joe Saunders turned down the fight. He's been calling Billy Joe Saunders out after Billy Joe Saunders beat David Lemieux via social media. He took to his Instagram live. He took to his Facebook live. He said it. Every interview he gets, Danny Jacobs is calling out Billy Joe Saunders. And so now Billy Joe Saunders takes to, in my opinion, I can't stand when the fighter takes and says, oh, this fighter doesn't sell. You know, but if that's the case, then you go and look at Billy Joe Saunders' last 5 opponents minus David Lemieux, and none of those dudes sell, you know. So none of those dudes, if you go by the notion that he's using, that you have to be able to sell in order to get a fight with him and a shot at his title, you know, then, you know, he shouldn't have fought his last 5 opponents, including David Lemieux, because David Lemieux had a couple of good victories against Curtis Stevens and a few other victories after the Triple G loss. But, you know, I don't think anybody had David Lemieux ahead of Danny Jacobs in the rankings at welterweight division. So then what did David Lemieux do to deserve a shot at the title if Danny Jacobs don't deserve a shot at the title? You know, if you're saying that Danny Jacobs don't sell, and then he said, oh, he's never fought in the States. He says that, you know, he outsells Danny Jacobs, you know, which is not hard to do because in the UK, you know, if you guys don't know, in the UK, you know, they stand behind their fans. They stand behind the sport of boxing a lot more than the States. You know, over here in the States, the sport of boxing is not at the top of people's priority list. So a lot of fighters, even though they fight in their hometown, might not sell as much as people do in the UK. So, you know, for instance, if you swap Anthony Joshua for Deontay Wilder, and Deontay Wilder was a fighter in the UK, Deontay Wilder would sell more than Anthony Joshua. It would be no difference. It's just that the people in the UK stand behind their fighters and the sport of boxing a lot more than a sport of boxing is seen over in the States. So you can't make you compare apples to oranges when fighters over in the UK compare the selling point as a point of reference to why they shouldn't fight a fighter. In the States is apples and oranges, because in the States, like I said, the sport of boxing is not looked upon as it is in the UK. And the States, there's no the boxing fans don't stand behind their fighters as if they do, you know, over in the UK. You know, even if you have a loss over in the UK, they still stand behind their fans, you know. So Ricky Hatton is still beloved after he got knocked out by Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, you know, so on. He's still a beloved fighter over in the UK. If Ricky Hatton came back and fought right now, I'm pretty sure he would sell out a lot of arenas, most arenas over in the UK. Similar to Kell Brook. Kell Brook lost to Triple G, even though he moved up 2 different weight classes, two weight classes to fight Triple G. After he took that loss, you know, he still sold out the stadium when he fought Errol Spence. And right now, if Kell Brook was to come back and fight in the UK, he would sell out the UK, even though he had two knockout losses to Errol Spence back-to-back and a Triple G. If Amir Khan was to fight right now with all the knockout losses Amir Khan has on his record, if he was to fight in the UK, then, you know, he would sell out stadiums, you know, similar. So, you know, it's comparing apples to oranges when you're saying that a fighter doesn't sell in the States. So, you know, Danny Jacobs might not sell as much. He might not be as popular as Billy Joe Saunders. But if Billy Joe Saunders fought in the States right now, the casual boxing fan wouldn't know who Billy Joe Saunders is. So Billy Joe Saunders fighting in the States right now wouldn't sell either. But Danny Jacobs, if Danny Jacobs went to the UK and fought that fight against Luis Arias, Danny Jacobs would have sold out the stadiums too as well, because the UK fans stand behind boxing, the sport of boxing. It's looked upon different than it is in the States. So for Billy Joe Saunders to say that, he's making up excuses. And to me, when a fighter starts making up these excuses like this, you know, it shows that a fighter just don't want to fight another fighter. I don't want to say a fighter is scared of another fighter, but it's definitely, you know, he's saying that, oh, in order to fight Danny Jacobs, he would need $5 million. He would need $5 million in the States to come to the state or more, and he would need 5 pounds or more to fight him in the UK. So that he didn't get 5 pounds and $5 million or more to fight David Lemieux when he went to Canada. He just took a flight over to Canada and fought David Lemieux in his own backyard. So why not fight a fighter that's as hot as Danny Jacobs? You know, because he's saying that Danny Jacobs is only popular now for losing to Triple G, because he lost well against Triple G. Well, that's not true, because, you know, that fight, most fight fans have that fight as a 50-50. A lot of people still say, a lot of people still say that Danny Jacobs won that fight. So for him to say that he's popular because he lost to Triple G, but this is the same fighter that Billy Joe Saunders himself was ducking. He wasn't looking to fight Triple G. Now he's saying that he'll fight Triple G. He's saying that Triple G was pushing to fight him when he was out of shape and wasn't interested in the sport of boxing. Well, if you wasn't interested in the sport of boxing and Triple G was pushing to fight you when you was out of shape, then why was you in the sport? Why was you holding on to a title? Why was you, having fights or anything, So it makes zero sense for him to say that Triple G was chasing him when he wasn't into the sport mentally and was out of shape. How would Triple G know that he was out of shape and wasn't into the sport mentally? He's saying that now mentally, Triple G was chasing him for a long time. He didn't want to fight Triple G. Now he's saying that he'll fight Triple G, but the thing about that is, it looks like a money grab. He's saying he wants to either fight Triple G or Canelo Alvarez. But here's the thing: Triple G is going to fight Canelo Alvarez in May. So from now until May, what is Billy Joe Saunders going to do? Now he's talking about going up in weight to fight at 168. So what is he going to do? Go up to fight at 168 and come back down to fight Triple G? It just makes no sense. It seems like to me that Billy Joe Saunders is avoiding Danny Jacobs because he don't think that he could beat Danny Jacobs. And then you had Tyson Fury come out and say that Danny Jacobs is a similar fighter to David Lemieux, and that's not a fair comparison because that's apples and oranges in itself, because Danny Jacobs looked hella different against Triple G opposed to David Lemieux versus Triple G. So you can't compare. They fight nothing alike. They're nothing alike. So you really can't compare Danny Jacobs to David Lemieux, because all you have to do is look at the fight versus David Lemieux versus Triple G and Danny Jacobs versus Triple G, and it'll show you everything you need to know. You'll see two different types of opponents versus Triple G. They're not the same. So I disagree with Tyson Fury saying that David Lemieux and Danny Jacobs are the same fighter. They're absolutely not the same fighter. And see, all the things that Billy Joe Saunders had success with against David Lemieux, he won't have that type of success against Danny Jacobs, because Danny Jacobs is athletic. He's able to move around the ring. He's able to cut off the ring to use his power. See, David Lemieux wasn't able to cut off the ring. He's not athletic and he's flat-footed, so he wasn't able to cut the ring off versus Billy Joe Saunders. But you did see in exchanges, when they got in exchanges and he landed, then Billy Joe Saunders was on his bicycle. He was backpedaling. He was trying to get out of there. See, against Danny Jacobs, it'll be a lot more of those exchanges, because Danny Jacobs is a big middleweight, who's able to cut off the ring. He has athletic ability and he has speed. So Danny Jacobs will be able to cut the ring off. He won't be able to do and shine and shoe shine and do all the things he did against David Lemieux against Danny Jacobs. So, he definitely knows that it's a huge challenge. That's why, it's almost a testament to Danny Jacobs' skills and boxing ability and his status in the sport, because, he wasn't demanding that David Lemieux, he got $5 million to fight David Lemieux, whether it be in Canada or the UK or in the States. So, now he's demanding that Danny Jacobs, he gets paid $5 million. So it's just a clear duck to me, man. In my opinion, it's just a clear duck, man. So Billy Joe Saunders need to do something, because he has from January to you're gonna say at least September, because if Canelo Alvarez wins the fight versus Triple G, that fight won't take place until September, because Canelo fights on the Mexican holidays, which is May and September. So he won't have a fight. If he wins that fight versus Triple G in May, he won't fight again till September. And if Triple G wins that fight in May, another fight with Billy Joe Saunders probably won't take place until August. So he can't. He's running from Danny Jacobs, and he can't run from him too long. He's gonna have to face either Danny Jacobs or the Charlo or somebody. So that's all I got for y'all right now. Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Blue Blood Sports TV. I got Billy Joe Saunders ducking and running from Danny Jacobs, man. I hope Danny Jacobs keeps the pressure on him. Keep the pressure on him, Danny Jacobs, man. So that way we could get the fights we want to see in the sport of boxing, and we can get rid of the old media and these decaps. You know what I'm saying? So Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Blue Blood Sports TV. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Hey, you have just finished watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Don't forget to hit the bell icon for notifications, the like button,
and most importantly, the subscribe button. See you soon.